When people consider someone useless and abandon them, sometimes fate raises that same person or thing to such a high position that they become the most valuable of all. This is the story of a lame horse that was thrown out by its owner because it was no longer able to work. But a poor man, despite his poverty, took care of it, without knowing that the horse's destiny held a great secret. A long time ago, on the edge of a large and busy trading town, there lived a very rich but extremely cruel merchant. His name was Qasim bin Waqar. He owned hundreds of horses, mules, and camels that worked day and night carrying goods. He had only one rule: feed the animals that could work and throw out those that became sick or old. In his stable, there was a very beautiful and powerful white horse named Tufan. Tufan was his favorite horse because it could carry the heaviest loads and run very fast. But one day, while passing through a mountain path, its leg slipped and it fell into a deep ravine. It somehow survived, but its back leg was badly broken. When the injured Tufan was brought before Qasim bin Waqar, when it was presented to Qasim bin Waqar, he looked at it with a look of disgust and said, "Now it has become lame. It is of no use to me anymore. Take it out of the city and leave it in the desert. I will not waste even a single grain of food on it." The servants immediately obeyed his order and left Tufan in a deserted area far away from the city. The horse that once ate like a king was now suffering from hunger and thirst. Blood was flowing from its injured leg, and crows were pecking at its wounds. It groaned in pain, but there was no one to hear its cries. Passing along the same road was a poor woodcutter named Hasan. He was about 50 years old. Although he was very poor, he was a kind-hearted man. He used to cut wood from the forest and earn enough to feed his children. When he saw the injured horse, his heart filled with sorrow. Looking up at the sky, he said, "O Allah, what kind of owner would leave such a beautiful animal here to die?" He had only a little dry food and a small container of water with him. He broke the food into pieces and fed it to the horse, then gave it water to drink. The horse looked at him with eyes full of gratitude. Hasan could not leave it there alone. He removed his turban and used it to bandage the horse's wounds. Then, slowly and carefully, he began leading it toward his small mud house. The road was very long, and the horse limped as it walked, but Hasan kept comforting it and saying, "Stay strong, my friend. There is only a little distance left." When they finally reached home, his wife Fatima said in surprise, "Oh Hasan, what have you brought home? We barely have enough food for ourselves, so how will we feed such a large animal?" Hasan smiled and replied, "Fatima, rizqat is in Allah's hands. We cannot leave it alone to die." He built a small shelter for the horse in front of the house and, despite his poverty, began taking care of it. Many times he stayed hungry himself, but still fed the horse. He even brought medicine for it, and slowly Fatima also began to love the animal. Every day, she cleaned its wounds and looked after it. Several months passed. Gradually, Tufan began to recover. Its strength started returning, although it still walked with a slight limp. One day, as usual, Hasan had gone to the forest. Suddenly, the weather turned bad. Heavy rain and a violent storm began. Hasan hurriedly gathered the wood, loaded it onto the horse, and started heading back home. On the way, there was an old wooden bridge, beneath which a fast-flowing river ran. Because of a heavy rain, the bridge had become very weak. When Hasan and the horse reached the middle of the bridge, it suddenly collapsed. Both Hasan and the horse fell into the rushing water. The river's current was extremely dangerous, and Hasan did not know how to swim, so he began drowning and shouted loudly for help. "Help! Save me!" Meanwhile, the horse, which had now learned a little swimming, managed to move toward the shore to save itself. But at that very moment, it heard its master, Hasan's voice. It immediately stopped and turned back. Its injured leg still hurt, yet it did not care about its own life. It quickly swam toward Hasan and firmly grabbed his clothes with its teeth. Then, using all the strength it had left, it began pulling him out of the water. After a great struggle, the horse finally dragged Hasan to the riverbank. Hasan had become unconscious. The horse began licking his face and neighed sadly beside him. After some time, Hasan slowly regained consciousness. When he opened his eyes, he saw the horse standing beside him, trembling. Tears filled Hasan's eyes at the sight. He hugged the horse tightly and cried as he said, "My friend, today you have repaid my debt. You are not just an animal. You are my brother." Gradually, the rain stopped, and both of them returned home completely soaked. But after that accident, the horse's injured leg began hurting again. Now it could barely walk properly. Hasan became very sad, but he did not have enough money to buy medicine. Finally, he decided to go to the city and ask for help. As he was passing through the marketplace, he saw a huge crowd gathered there. A royal announcer was beating a drum and loudly delivering news to the people. He shouted, "Listen, listen, the king's horse is gravely ill. The royal healers have said that to save it, a special blue herb is needed, one that is found only at the foothills of Mount Kaf. Whoever brings that herb will receive a great reward. But the journey is extremely dangerous." Hearing this, Hasan fell deep into thought. In his heart, he said, "Perhaps this is an opportunity from Allah. Perhaps this is an opportunity from Allah. If I receive the reward, I will be able to treat my friend." But the very next moment, sadness filled his heart again, because the other men were setting out on strong Arabian horses, while he had only a lame horse. Disappointed, he returned home. When he arrived, he sat quietly beside the horse. Crying, he said, "Oh, my friend, I could not do anything for you." Just then, the horse suddenly began acting strangely. With its injured leg, it started scratching the ground again and again. It seemed as if it was pointing toward a specific spot. At first, Hasan did not understand anything, but when the horse kept repeating the same action, he became suspicious. He quickly brought a shovel and started digging at that place. After a while, the shovel struck something made of iron. Hasan hurriedly removed the dirt and found an old iron chest buried beneath the ground. It was completely covered in rust. With trembling hands, Hasan opened it, but inside there was neither gold nor silver. Instead, there was a shining blue horseshoe marked with ancient and strange symbols. Along with it lay a mysterious map. Hasan could not read, but he understood that this was no ordinary object. Perhaps this was the path that would lead him to the blue herb, and perhaps this was also the great secret hidden in the horse's destiny. At that very moment, there was a loud knock on the door. Hasan opened it and saw the cruel merchant, Qasim bin Waqar, standing outside. 2 armed guards stood beside him. Qasim first looked at the horse, then at the blue horseshoe in Hasan's hand. A cunning smile appeared on his face. Softly, he said, "O woodcutter, it seems you have found something very valuable." At that very moment, the blue horseshoe in Hasan's hand suddenly began to glow with a bright light. Glowing lines started appearing across the horseshoe. Those lines formed a path that passed through mountains. Hasan immediately remembered the king's announcement, the blue herb found at the foothills of Mount Kaf. Now he understood that this was no ordinary horseshoe. It was a mysterious key that could lead him to that dangerous place. But at that very moment, Hasan's heart was filled with deep worry because his friend Badal had been forcefully taken away by the cruel men of Qasim bin Waqar. Even so, a new courage awakened inside Hasan. He slowly looked toward the sky and said, "O Allah, if my friend's life lies on this path, then make my journey easy." He gathered his few belongings and hid the blue horseshoe inside his clothes. Then, on that cold night, he left his small home behind. He was following the faint blue light that no one else could see except him. The journey was very long, and danger surrounded him everywhere. But for the first time, Hasan felt as though he was not alone, as if some unseen power was guiding him toward a great destiny, not only his own, but Badal's as well. Meanwhile, in the palace of Qasim bin Waqar, Badal stood tied inside the stable. Silently, he stared into the distance, as though he too could sense that somewhere far away, something had begun to change. Something that would change both his life and Hasan's forever. At that very moment, Hasan felt a strange strength flowing through his body. It seemed as though a new path had opened before him. The glowing line on the map was leading him directly toward Mount Kaf, where the blue herb grew, the same herb that could cure the king's horse. Some words were also written beneath the map. Whoever places this horseshoe upon their horse's hoof shall run faster than the wind and cross the mountains. Hasan understood everything. This horseshoe was the secret of Badal's destiny. If he could place it on Badal's hoof, his friend could become completely healthy again, and perhaps Hasan would also receive the king's reward, enough to stand against the dhulmun of Qasim bin Waqar. But the biggest problem was that Badal was still under the control of that cruel merchant. Hasan did not waste any more time thinking. In the middle of the night, he secretly made his way toward Qasim bin Waqar's mansion. Slowly, he climbed over the wall and quietly entered inside. Then, he carefully moved toward the stable. Many horses were tied there, but Badal stood alone in a dark corner. He was in pain, yet completely silent. Hasan softly walked up to him and whispered, "Badal, I have come." As soon as Badal heard his voice, he let out a faint sound. Hasan quickly took out the blue horseshoe and placed it on Badal's hoof. The moment the last nail was hammered in, a miracle happened instantly. A bright blue light spread everywhere. The glowing light began circling around Badal's legs. Suddenly, all his pain disappeared. His broken bones started joining back together, and his injured leg began healing completely. At once, strength surged through Badal's body. It felt as if lightning itself had entered him. He stood up with full power and neighed loudly. The sound of his neigh shook the entire stable. Just then, the guards woke up and started shouting, "Thief! Thief! Catch him!" Hasan immediately climbed onto Badal's back and shouted, "Go, Badal!" The very next moment, Badal leaped so high that he smashed through the stable's huge gate. Then he jumped over the tall walls of the mansion as if they did not even exist. Meanwhile, Qasim bin Waqar stood on his balcony in shock. He saw blue sparks flying from the white horse's hooves. Badal was neighing loudly while Hasan rode on his back, escaping into the night. Furious, Qasim shouted, "Catch them! This is some kind of magical horse." At once, his men mounted their horses and chased after them. But Badal was no longer an ordinary horse. He was running faster than the wind itself. He crossed huge rivers and leaped across mountains as though nothing was difficult for him. It felt as if the earth itself was making a path for him. By morning, the two finally reached a terrifying forest. The trees in that forest were red in color, and people said that dangerous man-eating beasts lived there. The blue herb was located beyond that forest. Suddenly, Badal stopped. He sensed some kind of danger. Just then, two glowing eyes appeared between the trees. A huge lion stood before them. It let out a terrifying roar, and the entire forest trembled. Hasan shook with fear, but Badal did not. Badal showed no fear at all. He struck the ground hard with his hoof, and blue sparks burst out from beneath it. The lion angrily charged toward them, but Badal moved aside like lightning and kicked the lion so powerfully with his back legs that it was thrown far away. Terrified, the lion ran back into the forest. Hasan was astonished. He could not understand how his horse had become so powerful. But there was no time to think, because the sound of approaching horses was getting closer. Qasim bin Waqar had arrived in the forest with his men and weapons. He shouted loudly, "Stop right there, or I will shoot." Hasan tightly held the reins and said, "Run, Badal." The two quickly began climbing a narrow mountain path. The trail was so tight that only one horse could pass through at a time. Below them was a gorge thousands of feet deep. One small mistake meant certain death. Qasim's men stopped in fear, but Qasim bin Waqar's greed. His eyes had been blinded by greed. Shouting wildly, he chased after them. "I will never spare you. That horseshoe belongs to me." After some time, Badal reached the mountain peak, but there the path suddenly ended. In front of them was only open sky, and behind them stood Qasim bin Waqar, pointing a gun at them. Laughing, he said, "Give me the horse and the horseshoe, and I will let you live." Hasan looked down into the deep gorge, then into Badal's eyes. Badal also looked back at him as if saying, "Trust me." Hasan closed his eyes and said, "In the name of Allah." The very next moment, Badal jumped off the mountain. Qasim bin Waqar shouted loudly, thinking they were about to die. But then an unbelievable miracle happened. Badal was not falling. Instead, it looked as if he was flying in the air. He was moving from one mountain peak to another. The blue horseshoe on his hoof was glowing with a bright light, as if it was lifting them into the sky itself. Seeing this, Qasim bin Waqar's eyes widened in shock. In a short while, Hasan and Badal finally reached the other side safely. There they saw the blue herb glowing on the ground, as if pieces of blue diamonds were scattered across it. Hasan shouted with joy, "We made it, Badal." But on the other side, Qasim bin Waqar was still not ready to accept defeat. He ordered his men to wait for Hasan at the city gates. When Hasan reached near the city at night, he saw heavy security everywhere. Qasim's men were spread across every route. Hasan understood that entering through the main gate was impossible. He gently patted Badal's neck and said, "My friend, we must find another way." At that moment, an old poor man sitting by the roadside said, "Son, if you want to reach the palace, take the old drainage path. It is dirty, but it is safe." Hasan thanked the old man and took that route. After some time, they reached the backside of the palace, but there they faced a new problem. The palace wall was extremely high, and there was no visible way to enter. Badal sniffed the wall and softly neighed, as if wondering whether he could manage another great leap. But now the glow of the blue horseshoe was fading. Its power was slowly disappearing. Hasan raised his hands toward the sky and prayed, "O Allah, help us just one last time." Badal took a few steps back, then ran with all his strength and jumped toward the high wall. He reached the top, but his back leg hit the wall. They lost balance and fell straight into the palace garden. The moment they landed, chaos erupted everywhere. Palace guards rushed in from all sides and surrounded them, shouting, "Who are you? Are you spies?" At that moment, the king himself appeared on the palace balcony. He looked in shock at a poor man and a wounded horse. Then his eyes fell on the blue herb in Hasan's hand, and his eyes lit up. He said in amazement, "This is the herb." Immediately, he ordered, "Do not stop them. Bring them to me with full honor." Hasan was surrounded by royal soldiers, but now he was being treated with respect. He was taken inside the palace. His clothes were torn, his face covered in dust and exhaustion, but the blue herb in his hand was still glowing. A sweet fragrance began to spread from it, filling the entire royal court. Everyone was amazed. The king was sitting on his grand throne, and beside him stood his sick horse, looking very weak. The king looked at Hasan and said, "Oh, poor woodcutter, you have done what even my bravest men could not. You have risked your life and brought the rare herb of Mauqaf." Hasan bowed respectfully and placed the herb before the king. He said, "My lord, all of this happened with the help of Allah and because of my loyal friend Badal." The king immediately called his royal healers. They fed the herb to the royal horse. Within moments, the horse's condition began to change. The light returned to its eyes, and it let out a strong neigh. The entire court filled with joy. The king stood up happily and said, "This is nothing less than a miracle. My horse is healed." Then he looked at Hasan and said, "Ask for whatever you want. I will give you endless wealth." But Hasan lowered his head and replied, "I do not want wealth, my lord. I only want my friend Badal to be healed and given the honor he truly deserves."